Okay. Nhớ xong sẽ đâu? Nhớ sẽ đâu? Bet your graduate. Can you guys please stand up and face that way? If you can't stand, it's okay. Just face that way. Okay. Cho tận đó bet cho tôi lúc tuổi trẻ nó cho mình cho gì thế? Choผู้ยืนcho tôi tuổi tin anh cha. Bet bút tê, bet sợ chạy, bet sợ. Bet bút tê cho đó. Ok, chúng sẽ đâu bet cho tú thành lo từ đây kia nó. Ok, này sẽ đời giàu to rồi. Họ có hai cái này sợ nữa mà do có bên trái chế chứ là bên dòng tê. Yeah, okay. So tu chính dẫn là thứ hai bên chỉ thế là chỉ mà dòng xuyên tàu và lúc nào bên chỉ tàu tôi xin chín cho để nó thế và chọn tàu cho tu tí lâu vư và tu tàu chơi của tuần nó thế và cho bé ở thùng guest speaker nhiều bao là hay lưu ta nó rồi và cho nó nêu lúc chỉ thế họ bắt cho bé gì đâu bé sẽ được. So, nếu nó cho lúa xứ nó chỉ cùi là hai lúa mi ca gọi là sẽ được cá xia là cho họ bé cho lúa sa mày nó chỉ bao lúa mông tả đi được không? Này là từ bao lúa mông chặt tê rồi. Yeah, okay, that's good. I have a question for you. Okay, for identity purpose, right? I have some questions. Do you know your culture? Right? You don't have to answer me, but answer in your head. Do you know your language? Are you involved in the Hmong community events? If you say no to these three, how do you define yourself? Are you still Hmong? Right? That's why it's so important to know your culture, to know your history, know your language, and be involved in the Hmong community, and which many of you are. So these are great stuff, right? But that harmony, tức là hay chắc chắn một hay represent Hmong rồi, but guess what? Bên Hmong nó chờ cho nó tới mình cả nó nè. If you don't speak and clear tiếng này cho bé hay này Hmong là chỉ bảo cho bé. When you have that chance, you need to take it, all right? And you need to do it so that people can learn about your community. So, thank you for being involved in the community. So, nó cụ tuần là nó cụ tuần biết ra đó này nó biết được không? Vì do này cần tới ta là nó giờ chỉ và tiếng tí nữa mà giờ chỉ cụ tuần biết ra đó này hay cho cái cần thơ hay tiếng nhom một chàng. But I don't know how else to explain it to you or tell you than giving you my personal example. So I want to share with you my story, which I call Weathering the Storm, a medical school journey that brings out the best. It's not about medical school, but it's about the struggle and how to overcome the struggle of going through school. So, để nói cho ít hay đua và thay cụ thể bên chế hình cho cái tí chỉ tu nhớ cho ba bên này Guess which child is me? I'm one of the half-naked child up there. Alright, you can't guess, because there's so many half-naked kids up there, right? But I'm that one, the one in the red. Right? I'm the one of red. Thankfully, the photo quality is not that good. Otherwise, you'll see everything about me, right? But I share you this photo is because I want to let you know that we grew up poor. My Guji passed away or to Tomo Xiong. Jegunian Muyozi Chia. Yeah. You know, growing up poor, becoming a medical doctor wasn't anything in my mind. We thought that we are to medical doctor. Vì đó coi chọn nhẹ nè, nên nó muốn qua do đây chỉ bỏ chỉ lư đây tổ lo trong linh đó sẽ qua đi trả yêu thế đi qua tới to medical doctor nè, bây giờ. So not until I was 27 years old, thầu cũng mua nên gọi xa xong Cụ tứ cỡ ta bachelor degree nè, giờ chị cụ tứ là ua hậu lự, chị cụ tứ là bí cụ chế nhanh. I started my own family, and when I was 27, something changed, right? Something changed. One of my first daughter got really sick, and as a father, I feel like my hands were tied. I don't know what's going on with her, and I want to know, and I want to help her, not just her, but the kids around her that are sick, right? And so I decide that, okay, I'm going to go back to school and to go into the medical field, and hopefully I can make it to become a medical doctor. So thầu lúc xưa đó cũng tức là bé cho mong mà là sĩ cho nên mà lại say thế, okay, oh, you muốn nuôi rồi cần tới nhua. Well, I'm 27 years old at that time, right? Oh, mua trên hình thì you mua cho mua gì thì tôi yêu cần tới là nhua muốn nữa. I have a wife, kids, right? And then ít cho lời thì oh, you know, mua hậu lử ta chỉ mua nhiều tiền một cần tới chỉ mua nhiều là tiền được chứ. Well, I let go of my job, I let go of everything, went to school and pursued school. So this journey that I want to share with you, this is the photo of me in front of the plane about to take off to my medical school. And my medical school is quite away from Fresno. It's about a straight shot of 13 hours and 10 minutes, which is about 3,800 miles away from Fresno. Right? It's very far away. At that time, my wife was pregnant and with our second child. So we can't go there because chỉ bao lúc đấy chờ tí chỉ bao tê doctor chỉ bao cái không mong dùng trả chỉ cho người cũng thêm một cỡ vấn đề cho cũng có niệm thêm mình nhon trong đấy chờ nó and I'm so grateful for that, and we had our second child, and so after that I came back and got my wife and kids, and we all went back to the island. I forgot to acknowledge this, but my wife is with me today. And I want to say thank you to my wife for naively believing in me that I can do it and chase after me, and we went through thick and thin. So this is a picture of my medical school. Có một số lúc tới chờ tí chua giả chua trả cái đó cái hậu như mình nhiều chờ tới chờ mình cả nọ thế đó gọi là lúc tới chờ mẹ thế chuẩn nhỉ. Đó là thầu con gam cho lúc school gì nhưng trong trường linh nhau tới chờ nọ sự vì nó có chua giả chua trả trong building technology chua giả chua trả nhưng trong cái giả đi tới chờ nọ thế chỉ cho cái cỡ nhưng chỉ bóng can thôi. So nó cho họ entrance trong the lúc chơi cần tới lúc này bỏ nó lúc student center. And so hôm nọ do thất thân nu baby check cái cần tới. First day of class or the first semester that I went, there was about 270 students. That's a lot of students, right? But guess what? After the first semester, guess how many people drop out? Almost half of the students drop out. Right? So it gives you a very good life lesson. Those who don't want it bad enough, when the tough gets tougher, they take the easy route and give up. Why? Because giving up is the easiest route, right? When you go through a challenge, it's hard to try to find solution and do it, but when you give up, it's done. You don't have to struggle anymore. But I encourage you not to give up and rather find a solution for it. Nói cho không nhớ cho biết cho student giờ chỉ thơ lúc semester đợi thì cũng nhớ lúc không cho nó cho họ cũng phân điểm nhiều chính thôi cũng muốn cũng decide to nhớ nó to school không nói không bự chỉ bự nó dù lúc trong sáng tự không na tôi dành nhớ tự nó thay đổi sang chỗ chỉ để nó cho không nhớ Đặc cá kia nó chỉ cho it's a beach, ocean view kia It's beautiful, but when you study 8 to 10 hours a day, go to school, after school you study, that's a lot of time of studying and you rarely see the beach. So this whole time that I was there, on beach right? And nothing but that we so-called delayed gratification, right? You have something beautiful in front of you, but you cannot enjoy it until you get through it. So, nhớ chỗ tết chân đỡ cũng mua chìm hát chìm đông lá tờ tê rồi là hay còn nói với cho chỉ mà mua nhở chúa xe tàu lên tàu chỉ muốn lên từ có chỉ muốn lên từng chia đi nhớ tết chân đi xong đi lấy cái chỉ kê ra tàu thầu ra rồi đi chỉ apple thế là đó chỉ mà cho you ra you bỏ con nó trong xe chấp là bây giờ mấy nu mấy đứa chua lần tàu cho mango bóng cho họ ăn tả ra. And I walked to school, it was all yellow and ripe. And they were all over the ground. And wow, this is mango heaven, right? And I started bagging the mangoes. But as I was bagging the mango, I look up to make sure no one's looking at me like I'm crazy, right? But in that very moment, I learned a lesson. The lesson is, in life, you have to learn how to enjoy the small moments. There's a saying that if you search for happiness, you will not find happiness. But it is through those small moments that brings you happiness. Okay, next. Okay, so cú show mình chỉ cho cho chờ ta la rồi cho ghé khư. This is the street market. Yeah, so mua chỉ mắt chỉ đông everything so fresh, like off the tree or from the river or from the ocean, and nothing processed like they chờ mình cả nói là chỉ mua company mua giỏ mua tỏ mua cho nát rồi you. So it's healthy, right? The food are all fresh and green. And like I was saying earlier, after my first semester, I came back to get my wife and kids, and that's our second daughter. And she was about 1 month old at that time when we took her there. However, thầu bé muốn cho bé lú they chờ bé lú ở dưới là chỉ là island nữa nè. 2 weeks after that, there was a huge hurricane. Lũ chỗ đã chỗ lũ Nassau là chỗ đã lo hình category 5 nữa nè. Chỗ chuồn đầu tuôn cho 160 miles per hour. It literally destroyed and wiped out the whole island. There were only a few buildings that would stand in our school. And this is a photo of the surrounding neighborhood from the place that we live. And when they say a picture is worth 1,000 words, you just take a look at that, right? Imagine going through the storm with a 1-year-old, 2-year-old, and your family, right? It's so scary, so scary. So we went through so much. The hurricane brought so many things into our life, courage, but it also bring us closer to our parents, my parents that have passed away. Also to bắt chú sau nè, lúc đó mong đỡ ít thọ bắt chú sau bị chơi giàu chú mua, số chỉ ta, sang thiên trai chấp lợi. Cho nó ấy cho đua thay bỏ cho damage cho phải phá có chạy tơ tà rồi nó ứ chạy nhóm thì đây những phư tà hậu floor. Chỉ khó nói cho lũ chỉ cần tới our campus, that's how it looked like from a bird's eye view. Next. Okay. So nói cho lúa chỉ cần tới mi ở dòng cho cụ tuần sai thọ nói cho mua bao Xiong về cho nhà cho na số na chùa món đầu buộc ta. And so, next. Tổ cá của họ na số na chùa để lo ta after the hurricane. Our life changed. Chỉ mua phải phát, there's no electricity, no water, no power. So what we did was we had to conserve water, save water for our kids, and then I have to go get coconut from the trees that fall down and bring those coconuts to my wife, and I can drink the coconut, save the water for the kids, our kids, to mix with baby formula, right? And when we showered, I had to go to the river to shower and bring water to our home so that my kids, my wife, they can use the water. So life was a struggle. We lived like that for about 4 days. And within that moment that we lived through this kind of tragedy, it reminds me back of Thailand, the refugee camp. When we were living back there, there's no power, water, and electricity, right? You had to go fetch your own water. But one thing that kept me strong at that time was the idea that I have done this in the past and I can do it again, right? You are going through some tough time in school, but when you overcome that tough challenge, the next one that comes, you can do it again because you already done it. And so been yawning though for about 4 days. All right, and then when the time comes, our school say, okay, we are going to evacuate you guys. My wife and I, we prepped our stuff. We couldn't get everything, right? Because you can only grab 2 suitcases full of your belongings. So we left a lot of stuff there. And then this is a photo of us waiting for the boat to come so we can get evacuated out of the country. And we waited for hours and hours. And we thought we didn't prep anything. We didn't prep any food, any drinks, because we thought the evacuation is gonna be a few hours away, right? And we thought that it's gonna be a big ship that will come with food and water. So to our amaze, this is how the ship looks like. And we are taking this, what they call it, a little sea splasher. No? You guys know what a sea splasher does? It's supposed to take you out to the sea so it can splash and then you get wet, right? That's what it's called. So, bên trai đúng con nào thở một cho kia dầu trên mỗi thứ lì nhớ được họ người ta okay. Này tôi sẽ để là thế chỉ mua mà họ đã chỉ mà mua cho để họ nói bây giờ chạy đúng con nó cổ bé số mong bé một chỗ at that time my heart dropped because why? We have 2 kids with us. One is still 1 month old. We need water to mix with formula. My goodness. So what are we gonna do? Thằng đó chỉ dùng chất thọ khởi nữa. Chỉ là một thọ đây nữa tiền. Yeah. But the ride was rough. There was a part on the journey where the wave was so huge that it looks like it can swallow the whole ship. And everyone was sick, throwing up, and water was splashing everywhere. My wife and I were so scared. At that time, we even discussed that, okay, if this ship flip over or if we get sink, you're gonna grab onto my older daughter, or I'm gonna grab onto my older daughter, and you grab onto the younger daughter. And we will let nature take its course and we'll see each other on the shore. It got to that point. But you know what kept me going and what kept me strong at that point? I thought of the idea that let the journey of your route guide you to success. What does that mean? I start to think about my root. I think about my parents' journey. I thought about my grandparents' journey. And do you know how they end up here and what they had to go through? They went through more tragedy and more unfortunate events than any of us would. They had to flee the war-torn jungle in Laos, walk their way, run through bullets and bombs, get to the Mekong River, and they had to swim across the river on bamboo shoots or, anything, that floatable device that they have. They went through a huge tragedy, through a journey where when I think about their journey, it makes my journey so small. And so I want you, on your hardest day, I want you to think about your parents' journey, your grandparents' journey. Because you know why? Our parents and grandparents, they went through the same journey, similar journey, all right? And if they can do it, you can do it. If my parents can swim across the Mekong River on bamboo shoot, then we can swim to shore on the life vest. I mean, life vest is better than bamboo shoot, right? All right, and so I want to leave you with, I want to give you this word of wisdom too. Sometimes the only way to win is to go all in, right? You have to put everything in. Put your effort, your time, your thoughts, your, everything. Money, everything. But don't gamble, okay? This is a phrase from me who doesn't gamble, but I'm just telling you a life lesson there, okay? Now, then there are also more challenge. The school say, okay, we will offer you guys an opportunity to continue this semester, but our island is completely wiped out. So here's what we will do. We are going to rent a big ship and have you guys study on the ship near an island where there's food, there's everything there that we can, supplies that we can use, because we can't go study at another island's property. It's different nation, different country, so the school is not based on like certification, blah blah blah, right? They can't have us go on land. So the school was pretty creative, right? So you know what? We already put everything in to my school, So let's go all in. And that's when we went. We thought that the boat was pretty big and it's going to be a nice cruise ship, like the one on the left, but it turned out to be the one on the right. So it's not too bad, but for a student with a family, inside our cabin looks like this, right? Can you live with a family inside this 10 by 10 with 4 bunk bed and the bathroom is like standing right there? See, I sleep on one bed with my daughter, my wife sleep on the other bed with my other daughter, and you know what, there's no place to play at all, right? It was so challenging, but you know what? We put everything in already. We dragged our suitcase and we transferred like so many airplanes to get to that place. So are we gonna quit now? Many of the students that they are there by themselves and single, they quit. Even before the school starts, when they go and see that, they already say, oh, I'm not living like that for the next 3 months. And they quit. They don't want it bad enough. And so my wife and I, we stayed there for a day, and I just couldn't imagine living like that with my family. How am I going to study? right? How are my kids going to have a space for themselves? And so, and the next morning, the ship, there was an electrical issue. They look on the killing that no. I knew at that time my body was giving up. But my mind said I still have work to do. So we did not give up. My wife and I talked about it, and then I said, okay, so why don't we only know? Một sao lúc trẻ cho nên nhóm là lúc ấy là na, cũng mà lúc tôi nhóm là lúc con này sáng đỡ cần đỡ được nó xem nào. And so that's what we did. So we before I go on, I want to show you some photos. This is inside the boat, okay? Lúc con trong linh nó cho thật nó gì lúc trong dọc sáng đỡ trong nó cho nó ấy cho chơi sáng đỡ thế. Là muốn lúc con tì là qua dành là qua cho chơi sáng đỡ ta được. So, thầu ước mình chia apartment nhớ đâu tới chân đó nè, chỉ bao ít tuần nên kia. Chỉ là tôi là cho nên thằng cho shopkeeper thằng cho taxi driver thằng thì ứng tiền chia tao on đúng không? Chỉ mà linh chia tao ilu apartment. Chỉ lu apartment nó thầu ứng chia tao nó tiền đi trong nó. Nhớ dây cho đời hiện chữ thế. Tại vì thầu công lu apartment dân nhau lu mày không bự xí nữa, tại vì công khả năng là sai đó. Có một bị cho có một lúc không là nó bị cho lúc cabin and nhau lúc con là when you compare this to the cabin, do you think this is more livable, right? So when we found this, it was a huge relief, right? But that's not the end. The challenge keeps going. Why? Because when we found this place, I have to drive or commute like about 20 minutes to get to the ship. And the problem is the ship cannot dock there all the time because it's a place for cruise ships to come in and park. So every morning our ship has to move out into the sea by 5 in the morning. So I have to commute to the ship before the ship undocks, like 4:15. Every morning I wake up like so early to wait for my taxi and go, right? And you know, some of you wake up at 7 to prepare for school and you're already complaining. Well, I complain too. I don't want to wake up early, but sometimes you have to do what it takes, right? To make it work. And that's one thing that you have to do. Alright, so u show mình chỉ đó nè, thì lúc có họ chơi trong đi trả thế rồi, họ nói cái họ chơi chén con thì bé mà đi cả dây cho lúc có cho sống nó rồi. There was one morning that we got to the dock early and on time, but the ship already left because there was schedule problem, and they already left before we got to the dock. So we call and they say, okay, you guys need to taxi all or to a different side of the island, and then we'll come and pick you guys up there. Wow, you know, the challenge keeps coming, right? So when we got to the other side of the dock, the sunrise, and they painted everything in color. It's so beautiful. The sky is blue. There's like sounds of wild animals everywhere. The ocean was so clear, and it's such a beautiful island to be on. But yet, here we are sitting there waiting to get into a ship so we can study. When you talk about delayed gratification, that is delayed gratification. You can't enjoy anything yet, not until you are a doctor. At least that's my story, right? So, thằng em cho số lúc có thì sai tôi sẽ phải nó lúc trong con của nó theo giờ thế họ nói họ chơi chuyện con. And because you guys are going through school, and because you guys are the graduates, I'm sure it's not like the end of your, your school journey, right? I want to give you some word of advice about studying in school. So in school, you have to create a ritual. Ritual means you get up, you do the same thing over and over again to the point where you don't even have to think about it. You just go and do it. That is the ritual that you need to be successful in school. And my ritual for medical school is study, eat, sleep, repeat. Okay? So you gotta come up with your own ritual, right? Every day I get up. First thing I do is get ready, go study, go to school, go study, eat, take a nap, study, eat, study, go to sleep, wake up in the morning, same thing. It's tough. Going to school is tough. But you wanna achieve your goal, you have to be willing to go through all those obstacles. Chị thầu bị ước cờ ta cho tờ lũ tế chờ đợi thêm tờ lũ con thì do lũ second semester rồi, so ước đi spend đi trong đi cờ tỏ lần. Thì lần thứ mua bé sa lũ school relocate to Tennessee. And so when we got to Tennessee, life is more normal, right? Nhớ tới thầy mình cả nọ thì mua cho nhà đi cho cái tống càng á, thì chế rồi you trả you mua you lo you xưa giờ rồi mọi món nọ rồi nhưng cho nhà lên được nọ thế. So thầu ước cả ta từ Tennessee về Xiong all rồi thì ước thế thì ok thì ước dùng một to họ to tuần tây này thì do lòng cởi cho tờ hông màu qua hông lửa tờ hông màu nữa là cởi thế là qua tờ. And so we chose the rotation at Bakersfield, and there's a hospital there, and so we literally drove from Tennessee all the way back home to California. But guess what happened in the middle of the trip? Our car broke down. Lúc chế nó lúc thổi trả lọ là tới chờ mình cả nơi chả cá lọ chế nè. Lúc cho anh đã kia lúc chế gì tua kia the Oklahoma in the middle of nowhere. In the middle of nowhere. All our belongings are in the car. Lúc cháu chế bù cơ đó. Đó là chỉ hợp bùa mấy mẹ bùa kia lúc engine là thế nào. Oh my gosh. Nhua từ tiền. And so the long story short, we have to figure out and we had to fix the engine, and then we drove back home. And so when I think about all these challenges that me and my wife and kids went through, I keep telling myself, I'm like, why do I have to put my family through these? Why do I have to go through these, right? But I want to share with you a phrase that says, those who are wounded could heal others effectively. Một bị chữ cho cũng khó kể cỡ là một giới từ medical doctor này vậy. Do you mua mò nè, you mù tru you từ mò you bỏ vào tiền thầu you mò trong đi trả thầu you you tỷ chủ liệu tụ tín hình cho cái ba you lose share không bỏ đi trả. You are at your most vulnerable state. Có một trụ cho cái mó nó ta có thể li bao là một lưu là một ba tin này. So going through all these challenges is not a setback for us. It's a setup. Because when we went through all these obstacles, it helped us learn so much that we can relate to other people that are struggling, and we can talk with them and be a listening ear so that they can share their hardship with us and it can help them. And so I am inspired by this journey. That is the reason why I'm here today. It's because I want to share this with you, right? By going through all of this, if I don't share this with you, all these will be lost. All the information, all the ideas will be lost. Keep pushing for your goals. Today you are going through challenges, but tomorrow those challenges will be used as a survival guide for somebody else. Because they will come to you and they say, hey, Có Meng, you went through anthropology. I like it. I'm thinking about it. Can you share some ideas with me? Can you tell me what I need to take? What classes? Right? Your story become a survival guide for somebody else. All right? Oh, bé mới chọn xài là kênh dance rồi. Bé là sa cỡ dance cỡ là vùng Hmong rồi. Okay, Coach KT, right? What you went through is a lot of challenges, but one day those will become guidance for other people. And so, cho cú mà because you chọn nhẹ, you lo chọn nhẹ thế, you lúc xưa nhưng bông cho Hmong thế nào? Chị cho cú chờ, ôi tôi medical doctor lo. I don't leave my community behind. I want to support and help my community as much as I can. And I hope that's something that is instilled in your heart too. Because nếu nó cần đỡ ta nên chỉ lấy trong xe chắc là và lấy trong xe để nên tao lúc chỉ là ba này ổn định này. Thế chỉ tàn đầu là lấy trong xe để tới rồi là tao cái tỷ chủ lo cho này là tao cái ba là tao này thế nào, right? And so don't forget your family, don't forget your community. Có chỉ cần tao doctor lawyer có chỉ một ba có lúc community nữa. Chỉ chỉ chỉnh anh chị thôi, okay? Chỉ này cho lại bé cho tuân sai luật sẽ này cần đỡ tạm nó. It's probably not the end for you. I hope you continue on. And when you reach the top, don't forget to reach back to your community and help your community. And so that's what I'm trying to do here. Chị cũng thấy lý của ý cho video thả cho cái không móc con kì. Từ khi mà cũng chỉ qua là mình cảm, because mình cảm ơn tàu thôi là. Nên sao sai còn từ là như nên một sai tàu là. Ta chỉ cho mong là cú qua của cho video hay luôn mong mình còn nữa. Chỉ nên cho nhiều cho gì nên chỉ bao là mình cảm là nên là sai của cho video. Cú muốn cho nó Facebook theo YouTube đó. Vậy giờ thì qua lại hay nên muốn trả cái gì trả share thế nào cú hay luôn mong tan thôi nữa là hậu chứ. Ai còn bé cho nhiều cho gì chỉ bao đâu bao giờ là sai sự là tin cả share. Okay, and this is one project that I have going on, and it's still ongoing. The other things that I also want to do is to reach out to the community, which is like coming here, right? Tôi chỉ này, tôi thả nó này, tôi sai này cho cái bản mình, thế tôi bảo trì cho này. And this is something that you lose here, you bong châu giả dung nó gì, you họ nhẹ châu thế chỉ tàn được rồi, ô châu you cá xe rồi. Nếu nào cũng tuân chỉ này nó tặng cho trẻ cũng trong xe hả? I'm so glad that I get to be a part of your life. And so, bringing back to that point earlier that I said, you are the advocate for your community. Lúc xóa cho bé hãy nên mong là do lo cho được này chứ nào. You are the voice for your community. Because no one else is going to represent you. Right? There's no book, there's no history book that people can read. They don't teach about Hmong history well at school. And so all the history that people and your friends có cho mẹ cho mình cả đúng thế nào nè, là do báo cho Hmong là do là do bao nhiêu nó có kia lại cho Hmong mà. Right? And so họ cũng tốt thả cho nên sau này nó sư đã chỉ mà cũng sẽ mỗi đầy lù lò pha cho nên chạy cho kéo nành nhở mong mấy đầy lù hai tiệt hử nhà hử gì thế li tàu công hử bao hử giờ thế li tàu mong lú nành lú trả thế li mua xua lú cứ lú tì thế li mua bè giờ nên mỗi từ bao nhiêu xe chú là có nếu này mỗi từ phong gì rong chú là có xe đó đây nè này xấu lúc này nó này lúc này thì vắng mình qua tròn tập